Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and today's show is presented by Panda Supps. If you want to get in the best shape of your life, I have an awesome deal, a special bundle for only Raider fans, but the deal's only going to last until the end of the month of June. Use code Mitch at chatsports.com/Mitch, and you can save up to $70 on your order. What were we talking about today? We are getting into the Raiders' 53-man roster projection, and it's the middle of June. I'm going to be 100% honest with y'all. This is not going to be the only roster projection video I do. I'll probably do another 2, 3, I might even do 4 more. The way that this is going to work, though, we're going to start on the offensive side of the football. Then we'll go to the defensive side of the football. Of course, I got to start at the quarterback position. And you got Derek Carr, Nick Mullens, Jaret Stidham, Chase Garbers. And I talked a little bit on Tuesday about some of the quarterbacks that I believe end up making this team, so this really shouldn't surprise too many people out there. At the QB position, I believe Las Vegas keeps 3. I believe you have Derek Carr as your starter. God forbid if he ends up going down with an injury. Then you have Nick Mullens, then you have Jaret Stidham. Yes, Stidham understands this offense more, and this organization made the trade. But I was told by players that Nick Mullens is just clearly the better player. Now let's look at the running back room. And there's a lot of good talent here. Josh Jacobs, Kenyan Drake, Zamir White, Jakob Johnson. I like having Brandon Bolden, Amir Abdullah, and then you also have the 7th rounder out of UCLA, Britton Brown. Unfortunately, and I'll say fortunately, the Raiders have a lot more talent this year around. So when you look at the running back room, I should also mention the numbers that you see next to the players are me counting out the 53-man roster with you. That way, if you're watching at home, you can just go ahead and follow along with me. I'm only going to keep 4 running backs, 1 fullback, though, and Jakob Johnson. If you believe that this Raiders roster is better than last year, which I would imagine 99.9% of people out there believe in that, all I want you to do is like the video. The other reason why I want you to like the video, here at Chat Sports, we are doing a like battle among all the channels. Raiders Report's in first. I'd like to keep it that way, so like the video. Let's now look at the wide receiver room, and a lot of talent here. Davante Adams, Demarcus Robinson, Hunter Renfrow, Keelan Cole, Mack Hollins, Dylan Stoner, Tyler Johnson, DJ Turner, Hall, BC as well. There is some good depth here, and this was probably the first position group that I really struggled on making a decision, and I'm going to end up keeping 5 receivers. I'm going to keep Davante Adams, I'm going to keep Hunter Renfrow, Demarcus Robinson, Keelan Cole, and Mack Hollins. However, when I really got down to it, and there were final 4 players, and I'll talk about the final 4 that ended up making my 53-man. But when I got down to the nitty-gritty, I was like, man, I have to keep only 5 wide receivers on my 53, which meant out of these 3 players right here, I had to cut one. The Raiders Report is built on the back of the best fans in all of the NFL, all of sports, Raider Nation. And I want you to interact with me down in the comments section right now. So get out your phone, go on your laptop. If you had to cut 1 wide receiver, I ended up cutting Johnson. Maybe you'd cut Cole. Maybe you cut Hollins. Type MH for Hollins, KC for Cole, TJ for Tyron Johnson. It's time now to look at the tight end group. You got Darren Waller, Moreau. You're going to see a lot of 2 tight end sets here, which is why currently Las Vegas has 6 tight ends on their roster. Jacob Hollister, Nick Bowers, Horsted, and then Fotheringham. I decided to go with 4 tight ends, and if this was an offense that I don't really believe was going to use a lot of 2 tight end sets, I might have saved the extra roster spot because not that Jesper Horsted's all that great. There's probably other players at other positions I would rather keep. However, the fact that the Raiders brought him in, I was told that Champ Kelly is a big fan of his. Horsted played with the Bears last season, and I know a lot of people are projecting Nick Bowers to make it. Hollister, to me, is a better overall talent. You know you're going to keep Waller. You know you're going to keep Moreau. But so far, we are 17 players through my 53-man roster projection. Before I get into the offensive line, I want y'all's ends looking tight. How can you do that? You can exercise, you can eat right, and Panda Supps is going to help you do that. So if you're wondering, okay, if I go to chatsports.com/Mitch, what do I get? You get a tub of the BCAs, which helps you with some hydration. Helps replenish your muscles after a workout. The greens, it's a great immune booster. It gives you some energy. If you don't like coffee, this is actually a great substitute for that. If you struggle getting to the gym after a hard day of work, take a scoop of the pre-workout. You're going to be wide awake, and we're going to throw in a shaker. If you were to buy all of those items there, it would come out to $168. Use code Mitch at chatsports.com/Mitch, and you can save $70 on your order. Don't worry. That link's going to be available for you all in the comments and in the description of today's video. Major shout out to Panda Subs. Let's go to the big boys now, protecting DC, the car insurance. A lot of moving parts here from OTAs, from minicamp, and obviously, you're going to have a lot of concentration around this group. I flirted with the idea of having 10 offensive linemen on my depth. However, I believe you have certain versatility in guys like Denzel Good, certain versatility in a player like Dylan Parham, certain versatility in Jermaine Illuminor, where you can keep 9. You know that Kolton Miller's going to make it. Andre James, Brandon Parker, Leatherwood, Thayer Munford. I decided to keep Munford, who the Raiders drafted this year. Sure, it was in the 7th round, but I had him as a 5th-round grade. I'm a fan of Munford. The only other player to watch out for is Lester Cotton. If Lester Cotton continues to play well, I have a feeling I would rather put him over the rookie, Munford. So predict it for me, y'all. How many offensive linemen will the silver and black keep this upcoming season? And it's a lot easier when I ask a question like this, because sometimes people are like, oh, it's 10. I probably would have said 10. And then I actually did the 53-man. I was like, you know what? There's other positions that I would rather keep certain guys at. But you know what I want you to do? Let me know in the comments. It's time now to go to the defensive side of the football. And you got your two faces of your defense of Maxx Crosby, Chandler Jones. But then it gets interesting because you got Clee, Tayshawn Bauer, Malcolm Kuntz, Gary Green. I decided to go with 4 defensive ends here. And again, for the people watching at home, keeping up track, we're up to 30 players on our 53, so I only have 23 spots left to go. I decided to keep Kuntz. I decided to keep Furl. Sure, if Furl didn't have the contract that he did, he probably wouldn't make the team. I'm a believer in Malcolm Kuntz. I'm hoping he can get it done in year 2. Let's go to the big boys in the middle of the defensive line, the defensive tackle room. Jonathan Hankins, Neil Farrell Jr., Bilal Nichols, Matthew Butler. And then there's a lot of, we'll say, extra bodies and battling it out for a final spot. Maybe like a Vernon Butler, Tyler Lancaster, Andrew Billings, Kendall Vickers, Kyle Pecco, Myron Tagovailoa Amosa. To me, the 4 people pictured are almost locks to make the 53-man. The way that I ended up breaking this down, though, I was like, all right, I'm only going to keep one more. I'm going to keep Vernon Butler. When I did the burger eating contest with Hankins, I met some of the other big guys up the middle, and, I'm asking them questions, and I'm like, all right, so who do you think is going to be another name to just keep in mind? Wasn't 1, wasn't 2 players. I'm not going to reveal their names, but the name that kept popping up was Vernon Butler. I'm not going to make the same comparison to Quentin Jefferson because Quentin Jefferson, I believe, is a better overall talent, but I don't really know if people anticipated Jefferson being the impact player on the interior line that he was last season for the Raiders, but Vernon Butler, I see making the roster. Linebacker room. Yes, you're going to see Cleveland Ferrell's name on here again because, well, apparently he's an outside linebacker now. I got Kyler Fackrell, Denzel Perryman, Divine Diablo. The Raiders, they added Darian Butler as a UDFA. They went out and they signed Kenny Young, Micah Kaiser. You also have Luke Masterson as well. I'm going to tell you which linebackers I decided to keep. But you know what I want you to do? I always want you guys to hit me up, stay on tap what's going on in my life. I am filming this video on Thursday, and my girlfriend Alex and I, we're going to take Chuck out to the lake house. He's going to be having a good time. So if you want to stay up to date, Raiders news, Raiders rumors, everything going on around the nation, but if you also want to stay tapped into what I do on a daily basis, seriously, I'd appreciate it. Hit me up. Let's look at now the linebacker room. I'm going to keep 5 of these guys. And Perriman, Diablo, Brown, Fackrell, they were the easy keeps for me. What was difficult was deciding between Kenny Young and also Micah Kaiser. And I think it comes down to special teams because personally, I think Kenny's the better linebacker if you're actually going to put him out there on defense. But Kaiser, to me, might be the better special teams player. I'm going to give the nod, though, to the player who I believe is a better defensive player, And right now, that's Kenny Young. The next question that you're going to see is this, because this was the part in my 53-man where I was like, okay, I got to start making some tough decisions. And really what it came down to was I was only allowed to keep one player. I just told you that Kaiser didn't make my final list. But if you were doing this and you're like, okay, you could only keep one, would you keep Micah? Would you keep Amik? Would you keep Roderick Teamer? See this? MK for Kaiser, AR for Amik Robertson, RT for Roderick Teamer. Let me know which player you guys would have ended up keeping. It's time now to look at the cornerback room. Trayvon, Nate, Rocky Sin, all those guys are locks. Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler have said they want to have versatile players in that secondary, and they want to be able to rely on 5 good players in coverage to play defensive back. So I hear that, and I'm like, all right, DBs, we also have some safeties that I believe can cover. So what does that mean for Morrison, Samuels, Chris Jones, the Raiders just brought in, LeBlanc, Cosby, Sam Webb? This was not an easy decision, and I'm going to go with 6 corners. And the reason why, the 5 names that you see between Mullen, Rockison, Nate Hobbs, Darius Phillips, Anthony Averett, really shouldn't surprise anyone out there. One of the other reasons why I didn't keep Tyron Johnson is because Darius Phillips was the very first player that the Raiders signed this offseason, and he has a lot of punt return, kick return ability. At least that's what he's done in the past. So I decided to keep Phillips, obviously, move on from Tyron Johnson, and I'm going to give that extra nod to Amik Robertson because all the reports out of camp are that he looks good. He's versatile. I've always believed in the player. And finally, I think he actually has a defensive scheme and coaches that believe in him and are going to put him in the right places. It's time now to look at the safety room, and if you're keeping track of it at home, you know you're going to keep 3 special teams players, which means I can only keep 4 safeties. Merrick, Abram, Deron Harmon, these were the easy names. However, Tyree Gillespie, do I decide to keep Dallin Levitt? What about Cole, Palomar? I mean, I didn't know exactly where to go here, and I was like, all right, well, Levitt, he's a good special teams player. Roger Teamer, he's a good special teams player. I'm going to go with the young guy, and I'm going to go Tyree Gillespie, and he can cover one of my favorite games, and I know he didn't play a lot last season. One of the best tapes that you can watch on Gillespie is actually the game that he matched up against Henry Ruggs, gave up only 1 catch for 4 yards against that Alabama offense back in 2020. Gillespie's a good player, and I believe that this Raiders organization is going to like him a lot, which means we got 3 more spots left for the kicker, the punter, and the long snapper. I'm not going to tease it too much. You know we're keeping Carlson. You know we're keeping A.J. Cole, both Pro Bowlers, and then the long snapper, following them at number 53. So that's my Raiders 53-man roster. This is my first edition. And all I want you to do, if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate you guys. Give me a grade, because when I go through the comments and I see A, B, C, D, or Fs, I'll know that you watched the entire video. And one of the biggest thank yous that you could ever give me is watching a video. 1, clicking on it, it helps, but then watching it to the very, very end. So let me know what you guys are thinking. Please grade my first edition of my Raiders 53-man roster.